Today we're diving into the dark side of the zoo. While zoos are meant to be places of education and wonder, there have been tragic incidents where things went horribly wrong. We'll be exploring some of these cases, but be warned, the details can be disturbing. If you're easily frightened, this might not be the video for you. For those who want to know more, let's get started.
Horror history.
Maqsood, a 20-year-old Delhi resident, harbored an unusual fascination with tigers ever since a visit to the Delhi Zoo in June 2014. This wasn't your typical, cute kitty admiration. No, Maqsood's obsession deepened after he lost his job as a porter in mid-2014. His afternoons were spent not job hunting as he told his worried mother and pregnant wife, but at the zoo, specifically the white tiger exhibit. One fateful September day in 2014, Maqsood, perhaps seeking solace or a thrill, ignored a guard's warning and leaned precariously over the white tiger's enclosure wall. Fate, it seemed, wasn't interested in a close-up selfie. Maqsood lost his footing, plummeting 15 feet into the moat below. Enter Vijay, a magnificent but massive 7-year-old white tiger. Faced with a man either pleading or praying, depending on who you ask, Vijay's instincts took over. After a tense standoff, the tiger grabbed Maqsood by the neck and dragged him away. Sadly, despite zoo officials luring Vijay away with meat 15 minutes later, it was too late for Maqsood. Talk about a bad idea fueled by bad judgment. In 1970, 19-year-old Roger Dean Adams, along with 2 pals and a questionable amount of beer, decided the Oregon Zoo was the perfect late-night hangout. Of course, the zoo, like any sensible establishment, was closed. Undeterred by common sense and fences, the trio broke in. Their adventures started with penguin harassment. Yes, you read that right. They hopped the penguin enclosure and Adams, showing the maturity of a toddler, chucked a penguin into the pool. Not exactly friendship goals with the animal kingdom. Feeling emboldened by their penguin prowess, they moved on to the bear enclosure. This is where things took a turn south faster than a penguin on ice. Adams, fueled by liquid courage, of the questionable kind, scaled the wall, climbed down, and delivered a head kick to a bear. Miraculously, he escaped unscathed, perhaps convinced of his own invincibility. Spoiler alert, he wasn't. They ventured to the lion enclosure. Following the now-established pattern of terrible decisions, Adams climbed in and promptly kicked an 11-year-old lioness named Sis in the head. Unlike the bear, Sis wasn't having any of it. She grabbed Adams and pulled him into the enclosure. His friends, in a display of helpfulness that rivaled their earlier brilliance, threw rocks and bottles. Clearly, scaring off a lion with pebbles wasn't the winning strategy. They finally made the sensible, and very belated, call for help. Sadly, by the time the police arrived, the situation was dire. To protect the public and presumably themselves, they were forced to shoot both Sis and a male lion named Caesar. Tragically, Adams did not survive the encounter. Ringing in the new year with a trip to the zoo? Maybe not the best idea, especially after a few too many drinks. That's what Prakesh Tiwari and Suresh Rai, 2 friends in their 20s, learned the hard way in Calcutta, India on New Year's Day, 1996. Fueled by festive cheer, of the liquid kind, they decided the Calcutta Zoo's tiger exhibit was the perfect place to continue their celebrations. Perhaps they envisioned offering the majestic Bengal tiger a celebratory gold garland, which they had in hand. Shiva, the 13-year-old Bengal tiger. After scaling the enclosure and crossing the moat, not exactly the smartest move, they found themselves face to face with a very real, very large apex predator. Things went from bad to worse when Rai, in a moment of questionable judgment, decided to drape the garland around Shiva's neck. Predictably, the tiger wasn't a huge fan of impromptu jewelry. Shiva pounced on Rai, who luckily managed to escape with Tiwari's help. Unfortunately, Tiwari's heroic act, he kicked the tiger to distract it from Rai, came at a terrible cost. Shiva turned her attention to Tiwari, inflicting injuries that tragically resulted in his death. On a fateful day in December 2007, Jayaprakash Bezbaruah, a daring 50-year-old, embarked on a family outing to the Assam State Zoo in Guwahati, India. With his wife and 2 children by his side, excitement filled the air as they sought to capture a perfect snapshot of the majestic Bengal tigers. Ignoring the cautionary warnings from zoo guards, Bezbaruah, fueled by adrenaline, boldly disregarded the safety barriers. Venturing closer to the tiger enclosure, he extended his arm through the bars, aiming to seize the ultimate photo opportunity. Suddenly, with a ferocious roar, 2 Bengal tigers pounced, seizing Bezbaruah's arm in a vice-like grip. In a horrifying spectacle witnessed by his family and onlookers, the powerful predators ruthlessly amputated his arm from his body. Amidst screams of horror and disbelief, Bezbaruah was rushed to the hospital, but the damage was irreparable. Tragically, he succumbed to the grievous injuries, leaving behind a harrowing tale of the dangers of disregarding safety precautions in the pursuit of adventure. The fairy lights lining the San Francisco Zoo cast an eerie glow on the deserted paths. It was Christmas night, and the last visitors had shuffled out, eager to get home to presents and feasts. Unknown to them, a deadly drama was about to unfold. 17-year-old Carlos and his friends, the Dhaliwal brothers, Kulber Dhaliwal, Paul Dhaliwal, lingered by the Tiger Grotto. Maybe they were full of holiday cheer, or perhaps a morbid curiosity took hold. Whatever the reason, their actions would have devastating consequences. Accounts differ, but whispers suggest they taunted Tatiana, a magnificent Siberian tiger. At 450 pounds, she was a predator at the peak of her power. In a move that defied expectations, Tatiana defied zoo regulations as well. The supposedly secure 12-foot wall was no match for her raw power. With a chilling ease, she launched herself over the top, her massive form a blur of orange and black against the twilight sky. Pandemonium erupted. The first to face Tatiana's fury was Paul. Screams echoed through the deserted zoo as the tiger sank its teeth into him. In a desperate attempt to divert the attack, Carlos and Kulber intervened, only to become targets themselves. After taking life of Carlos, a desperate chase ensued. The Dhaliwal brothers, fueled by adrenaline and fear, sprinted towards the zoo cafe, leaving a trail of blood marking Paul's path. Tatiana, a hunter by instinct, tracked the scent with chilling precision. The night watchman, alerted by the commotion, stumbled upon a horrifying scene. Kulber was being mauled by the escaped tiger. With no other option, the police were called. The finale of this Christmas Eve nightmare was a gunshot that echoed through the silent zoo, ending Tatiana's life. Paul and Kulber survived the ordeal, forever marked by the night a seemingly routine zoo visit turned into a savage fight for survival. Labor Day weekend in 1977. The Miami Serpentarium, a place where tourists flocked for a thrill, was basking in the Florida sunshine. Among the visitors was 6-year-old David Wasson, eager to see the scaly residents. Little did he know, a day of family fun would turn into a horrifying nightmare. David and his father arrived at the Crocodile Pit, the undisputed star attraction. Here, monstrous reptiles basked in the sun, their primeval eyes reflecting an unsettling stillness. For a closer look, David was placed on the enclosure's wall, a precarious position even for an adult. Here, the line between entertainment and danger blurred tragically. As David's father turned away for a moment, the unthinkable happened. With a child's impulsive curiosity, David lost his footing and plunged into the pit. A collective gasp rose from the horrified onlookers as they witnessed David fall towards the jaws of a 12-foot monstrosity named Cookie. Cookie, an African crocodile honed for survival, reacted with lightning speed. He lunged, his powerful jaws clamping onto David's chest. The primal struggle began, a child's fragile body against the prehistoric predator. David's screams echoed through the enclosure as Cookie thrashed him, his head repeatedly banged against the concrete. A glimmer of hope emerged in the form of a brave bystander. He jumped into the pit, a desperate attempt to wrestle David away. He managed to grab the boy, but Cookie wouldn't relinquish his hold. In a horrifying twist, the rescuer himself was dragged towards the water's edge, forced to let go as the crocodile pulled David deeper into its murky domain. For 5 agonizing minutes, the water became David's tomb. Cookie held him underwater, the weight of the predator slowly extinguishing the spark of life. It was only after a guard intervened, jabbing the crocodile's eye, that Cookie finally released his grip. The fight for David was far from over. Rushed to the hospital, he was pronounced dead. The Serpentarium owner, shaken by the tragedy, exacted a brutal revenge. He unloaded 7 bullets into Cookie, a grim and bloody end for the reptile. The shadows lengthened over the Prospect Park Zoo on a seemingly ordinary May evening in 1987. Long after closing time, 3 teenage boys, fueled by bravado and a dash of recklessness, embarked on a foolhardy mission. Their target, a swim in the polar bear enclosure. What began as a dare by the moat of the seal exhibit escalated quickly. Determined to outdo each other, they decided to take a plunge into the polar bear's domain, a decision that would have chilling consequences. 2 of the boys, their bravado fading, opted out. But Juan, determined to prove his courage, took things a step further. He tossed their clothes into the moat, a taunt to the slumbering giants within. The noise echoed through the enclosure, stirring awake 2 colossal polar bears, a male and a female, each a powerhouse of muscle and instinct. As Juan entered the water, a primal dance of predator and prey began. Instead of escaping, he taunted the female, a reckless act that triggered the attack. The male bear clamped its jaws onto Juan's shoulder, dragging him away with horrifying ease. His screams, "Go get help, they're biting me hard," pierced the night, a desperate plea lost in the vast emptiness of the zoo. His friends, paralyzed by fear, fled into hiding. Precious minutes ticked by before the police arrived, alerted by the commotion. However, gaining access to the zoo proved another hurdle, a 20-minute delay that felt like an eternity. Finally entering the enclosure, the officers were met with a gruesome tableau. The 2 bears wrestled over Juan's remains, a testament to the ferocity of the attack. Tragically, fearing there might be more victims based on reports of children's clothing, the police opened fire. A hail of bullets, 20 from a shotgun and 6 from a revolver, ended the lives of the magnificent creatures. Only after the smoke cleared did the horrifying truth come to light: there were no other children in the enclosure. Juan's misplaced bravery in a night of dares had resulted in a life lost and 2 magnificent animals destroyed, a stark reminder of the consequences of underestimating the wild within. Okay friends, that's all for today's look at some unfortunate incidents at zoos. These are just a few examples, and it's important to remember these events are rare. Modern zoos work hard to ensure the safety of both visitors and animals. What are your thoughts about the incidents mentioned? And what can we learn from these incidents? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more true crime content. We've got other spine-chilling videos on the channel, so check them out if you're interested. Thank you for spending your time here, and see you in the next one.